Stop scrolling. One day, it happens quietly. No warning. No drama. You realize, you're not who you used to be. And that moment changes everything. It doesn't happen during a breakdown. It happens in ordinary moments. You're sitting alone with your coffee. Driving home from work. Lying in bed, waiting for sleep. And suddenly it hits you. The person you used to be feels distant. Almost like a stranger. There's no clear before and after. Just a quiet realization that you changed, without noticing when it happened. The problems you once obsessed over don't bother you the same way anymore. The fears that once controlled you now feel small. Almost innocent. And you can't remember when you stopped being that version of you and started becoming this one. Maybe it's how you handle conflict now. The old you needed to defend yourself. Needed to be right. Needed the last word. But now you choose peace. You walk away from arguments that don't matter. You let people misunderstand you. Because their opinions no longer define you. Or maybe it's how you spend your time. The old you filled every moment with noise. Plans. People. Distractions. Anything to avoid being alone with your thoughts. But now you protect your solitude. You crave quiet. You say no without guilt. You've learned the difference between being alone and being lonely. Maybe it's the relationships you keep. The old you held on out of history. Out of obligation. Out of fear of being alone. You tolerated disrespect. And called it loyalty. But now you understand that outgrowing people isn't betrayal. Some people are meant to be loved. From a distance. Or maybe it's how you see yourself. The old you needed validation. Twisted yourself to fit expectations. Apologized for existing. Made yourself smaller. But now you know your worth is not up for debate. You don't need permission to take up space. The change didn't happen overnight. It was slow, subtle. 1,000 tiny shifts. Every heartbreak taught you something. Every disappointment revealed something. Every challenge forced you to become stronger than you thought possible. You didn't plan to change. Life just kept happening. And every time it knocked you down, you got back up, a little wiser. A little harder to break. A little more yourself. Transformation isn't pretty while it's happening. It's messy. Painful. Confusing. You cry at night. You question everything. You feel lost. But on the other side of that chaos, you become someone you respect. The old you tried to fit in. The new you stands firm. The old you wanted to be liked. The new you wants to be real. Now you speak your truth. Even when your voice shakes. You set boundaries. Even when people call you selfish. You choose yourself. Even when it disappoints others. You've learned that self-care isn't selfish. That no is a complete sentence. That you can't pour from an empty cup. You look back at who you were. With mixed emotions. Gratitude for how far you've come. Compassion for how little you knew. Pride for not giving up. When staying the same would have been easier. And here's the truth. You're not done changing. This version of you will also become a stranger someday. Because growth never stops. And that's not something to fear. That's something to honor. The quiet moment you realize you're not who you used to be isn't a crisis. It's proof. Proof that you survived. That you evolved. That you refused to stay stuck in a version of yourself that no longer fit. You're not lost. You're found. You're not falling apart. You're falling into place. And the most beautiful part, you didn't lose yourself. You came home to who you really are.